Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have another fun-looking puzzle here. It's called Murmuring by Arc29, and you can see we have a lot of... They are German whispers, okay? I didn't look at the rule sets before I started this one. I just like the look of it, the cut of its jib, if you will. So there's a lot of German whispers that seem to be kind of falling down in almost like a Matrix X type of situation. I wonder if that is the... influence here or not, or I'm just seeing things. It's very possible. It happens a lot. Anyway, let me know what you guys are seeing here, if you agree with that or you think something else is going on there. But we'll find out here, hopefully, in a minute what's going on. But let's take a look at our rules and see what is going on. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So every row, every column, and 3x3 box will contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. We've got German whispers. So adjacent digits on a green whisper line must differ by at least 5. Every line is a German whisper. So whatever this digit is, this has to be 5 away from it. This is 5 with the other one, 5 away, etc. down the line. Then we've got a min-max rule. Excuse me while I try not to sneeze. So cells with arrows facing inward must contain a digit smaller than all orthogonal cells. So that would be this guy. So this guy has to be smaller than all of these. And cells with arrows facing outward must contain a digit larger than all orthogonal cells. So this guy, all of these have to be smaller than this one. And that's it. So it's really just those two rules. But there does appear to be quite a bit going on here. So with that said, let's see if we can get this figured out. And of course, link will be in the description below if you wish to play along. So that said, let's get started on this one. I think I see a good way to get going on this, and we're going to start looking at our 5s. Tends to be the case when we have a lot of German whisper lines, because obviously we can't put a 5 on a German whisper, because you have to put a 0 or a 10 next to it. So let's just start going through it. Obviously none of these can be 5, so one of these must be. Now if we look at this column, these can't be and these can't be, so this one just is. We then know that none of these can be, so this one is. This one just is off the bat. One of these must be, which means none of these can be, that can't be, and none of these can be, so this is. This one's already done. This one, it has to be in here somewhere. And, well, one of these two. And what else? Okay, here we go. This one right here, and that'll give us this one. So now we just have this grouping down here that we're going to have to figure out at some point. So that's a pretty good start to this thing. But I have a feeling this is not the end of the road. So we're going to have to now think about how do we get past kind of the easier in that we have. And really think about this thing. So when we think about German whispers, of course, other than the fact that we can't have 5s on it, we know that we go from high, low, high, low, high, low. And we know that certain digits can only be placed in certain positions on German whispers, i.e. the 4s and the 6s, because a 4 will always have to be paired with a 9, and a 6 will always have to be paired with a 1, because it's only digits that are 1 away from it. When we think about some of these lines, the longer ones, there's only so many places we can put 4s and 6s. Now, the problem with that is we do have multiple positions. So the 4 and the 6 clearly can't go in any of these because you'd have to put a 9 or a 1 on either side of it. But you could put 4s and 6s on the ends, or you can put one of them here. Again, it's not necessarily a problem, but it's not quite enough information because we have 4, 6, and 5, which are 3 digits, but we have 4 places where they could go. So let's think maybe more rudimentary in rows. There we go. 4s and 6s in this row can't go in any of these positions, so therefore they must go here. What other rows do we have? Okay, we can now, because we got this, we can now look at this row. That, and now this cannot be 4s and 6s, so therefore these are 4s and 6s. That means this is either a 1 or a 9, but we know that this digit has to be the low digit, so everything around this digit must be higher than it. We can't put a 9 in here because that would just break the puzzle, so this has to be a 1, which forces the 6, which forces the 4, which forces the 9. Good. Now, can we continue on that little trend of ours? Not necessarily. Well, I guess we kind of can, because we have the 6 here now. So now none of these can be 6s. So one of these is, which means one of these has to be a 1. And the 1s, we can use those. None of these can be 1s, so this is a 1. What further? Let's think on that. Now, we know, well, we can go through both of these German whispers, I guess, because we know our high-low groupings. So we're going to know that this is low. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3. This is going to be low, 1, 2, 3. This is going to be low, 1, 2, 3. And it can't be 4 because we can't put a 4 and have 2 9s. And then we're going to know we have to have 6s in one of these. It can't be here. But what we can do is we know there's 6, 7, and 8. This one not being a 6. So what do we have missing from this column? It's a 1, 2, or 3, because we have 6, 7s, and 8s, and 9s. We have the 5, so this one has to also be a 1, 2, 3. Now we can't rule out 6 from here. We can't rule out 6 from here. Just yet. And we don't quite have anything else looking across here to try to determine which ones of these are which. So, well, I guess we can rule out a 3 here, because we can only put 1, 8. Since we can't put a 9 in either one of these, this can't be a 3. So one of these is a 3. And it can't be this one, because these can't, again, both be 8s. It can be here, or it could be our leftover digit here. So those are our options. Now, also, we know one of these two has to be a 6, because it's all that's left in our column. So therefore, this has to be a 1. There's no other way around it. Because if this is a 6, these are both 1s. If this is a 6, this is a 1. So this is 1. This is not. That gives us our 1 up here, which means our 6 has to go here. So we can get rid of those markings now. Good. Now we've determined the high-low progression of this guy. But let's go back to here for a second. Because we had this one first, so we might as well go for it first. These have to be from 6, 7, 8, 9. Neither one can be 6. And these have to be from 2, 3, and 4, because obviously we can't use a 1 again, but this can't be a 4. Now, there's no requirement that one of these has to be a 4, so this doesn't have to be a 4. What else do we have? We've got 1 low, 1 low, 1 low. So one of these we know is low. It's because it's a 2-cell German whisper. It always has 1 high and 1 low. And it's either a 2 or a 3. That's not super helpful, though, because it just means that this is a 2 or a 3 that goes with the 7, 8, or 9. And this is the leftover 7, 8, or 9. Now, I could start marking or coloring high and low and see how it impacts a across the board, but I don't know if we need to do that just yet. So we're going to hold there for a second and go back to what we found previously here, because we haven't determined, or we haven't looked at what this can be just yet. So we're looking here at some higher digit, 7 or 8. This has to go back down low, so we're looking at 2, 3, can't be 4. Back up to high, 7, 8, or 9, and then we go down here to 2, 3, or 4. Now 1, 2, 3, 4 is nice, and we don't have any 6s in any of the other ones, so one of these really annoying. That thing comes out every now and then, but just get back to it. One of these two has to be a 6, but this can't be a 6 because it forces this to be a 1. So this ends up being our 6. Now this has to be a 7, 8, or 9 because we have to have one more high digit here, which forces this down into the low progression again. So this is 2 or 3. This has to go back up high, so it's 7 or 8, and this has to be a 2 or a 3. Good. Now, what do we have down here? One of these has to be a 4. And if we look at that quad we saw earlier, this is the only place a 4 can exist. So that's 4. This is 9. This is not 9. So we get a 7, 8, 2, 3 grouping. So this is a 4, 9 pair. Let's put those in. Now, what do we have? Now, we did see that 2, 3 pair here. It means there has... Okay, so where does a 4 go in this row? It can't go in any of these. So one of these is a 4, which means one of these is a 9. If that's the case, this is not a 9. Where can we take that next? What about down here? So we're going to have the other pair of the 2, 3, and we're going to have the other pair of the 7, 8. We already knew one of these is 6, so that doesn't really do us a whole lot of good. So let's think about the next stage here. Is there anything... Well, let's look at this row, because we have a lot of information here, actually. We've got the 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We know one of these is a 9. That forces this to be, well, one of these and this one to be a low digit. So we said previously one of these was low and it had to be 2 or 3, so it's this one. This had to be high and had to be from 7, 8, or 9. And this is the other digit from a 7, 8, or 9. Which means one of these is a 9, but we kind of already knew that, so it's not really that big of a deal. This one is 4 and some high digit that's left over from here. This is 9 and some low digit left over from here. So hopefully we can find a way to differentiate between these two and see which one is which. Let's think about the 6s a little further, though, because we do have 6s looking into this region. And the 4s might be semi-useful as well, but there's only one of those. Let's start with 6s. We know just by Sudoku, none of these can be 6s. These can't be 6s, and this can't be. So this is 6. Okay. That's going to make things probably a lot easier. That forces this to be a 1. So this is not a 1. That's a 2, 3 pair. This is a 1. And we can continue on our high-low journey. So this has to be high. It is either 7 or 8, because it can't be 6 or 9. If this is high, this cannot be. Therefore, we found our 4, 9 pair. Good. Now this is 2 or 3 to finish the row and to continue our little journey here on this German whisper here, not including you. This has to go back high. It has to be a 7 or an 8. Now this has to be a 2 or a 3. And you can see we're getting a bunch of pairs going across in every direction here. The only thing we haven't quite figured is what these guys are just yet. But let's continue down the line of this German whisper. This has to be high. Can't be 6. It's either 7 or 8. This has to be a low digit. Can't be 1 or 4, so it's a 2 or a 3. This has to go back up high. Can't be a 6. It's a 7 or an 8. As you can see, we get more of our 2, 3, 7, 8 grouping. So we know what these are. They have to be from 1, 5, and 6. This can't be 6 or 5, so it is the 1. So this is a 5, 6 pair down here. Okay. Let's see what else we have then. Either we can jump into here and see what options we have, or we can start looking here. We're going to have to be able to put a 4 on this thing. I'm looking into region right now. So one of these has to be a 4. It's not here, so one of these is. Now, if this is a 4, it forces this to be a 9, but we don't know that just yet. What else do we have to have here? We have to have a 9 in one of those, so one of these is a 9. The leftover digit is a 2 or a 3. The 2 or the 3 can't be here because we have our 2, 3 pair. Actually, look at this. We got a 7, 8 pair. I didn't even notice until now. So this is 9, which means this isn't, which means this is. Therefore, this is a low digit. It's either 2, 3, or 4. We have our high-low grouping now that we can work with. This is what? This is also 2, 3, or 4, and it can't be 2 or 3, so it's 4. Okay. Now we have a 2, 3 looking across. This has to be a 4. This is all working out quite lovely as it's kind of going down the matrix, if you will. So anyway, let's continue on the journey. This has to be low. 2, 3. It cannot be 4 because we can't put a 9 here. And I think this guy's going to come into play here soon. This has to be a high. Well, in fact, these 2 digits just have to be what? We've used all of the lows, so these are a 7, 8 pair. Now, okay, we're going to have to think about this guy a little bit. So let's think about what can go here, because we know that this digit has to be higher than all of these. Oh, that just sorts it right there. Just being blind, I just had to think about it. This couldn't ever be a 7 because it would force this to be an 8, and that would be higher. So this is 8 and 7. Therefore, this is not 7. This again has to go back down low, and it can't be 1 or 4, so it's 2 or 3. So we get another 2, 3 pair, which tells us one of these is 4 and 9. Okay, so we've got the 4, 9, we've got the 2, 3s, and we got the 7s, 8s again. Okay, let's look across here, because this is a given digit of 6, which is going to give us our 4 and our 6. That's good. And what do we have left over here? Let's see. We need a 1, and then what's left over from the 7 to the 8. Here, we need a 2 and a 3, and what's left over of 7 and an 8. Okay. Is there anything else up here that we can do? Doesn't appear to be that we could determine on these lines without going through all the options we have, but it doesn't look like it, so we're going to have to continue on this path. Let's think about Sudoku for a second. One of these is a 1. Just because we have so many digits, it wouldn't hurt to see the 2s and the 3s because we have a ton of them. Don't know we can do anything with them just yet. Same with the 4s. The 5s we had already really started with, so let's look at 6s for a second. So one of these is a 6. We know one of those was a 6. We know one of those is a 6. Okay, that's not giving us a whole lot. The 7s, we don't really have much of anything. It's, again, the 7-8 pairing. And that doesn't quite seem to help. So let's look at our 9s real quick and see if we have anything left there. Doesn't appear to be. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out... Okay, I skipped over this because that's what I do. This can't be higher than 8. So this is 4 and 9. That gives us 4 and 9. That should be enough, hopefully, to give us some more digits. That's a 4. What about the 9s? One of these is a 9. Okay, let's look here. It's not, well, let's say it's not going to give us a ton of information, but maybe it'll give us something. These digits have to be from what's left over of the 2s and the 3s up here, and the 7s and the 8s. But that, okay, the 2, 3 here helps a little bit. So we know one of these is the 2 or the 3. That doesn't really seem to cut it, though. Because, again, we can't use anything more from this guy because we've already ruled out everything here. So there's something in here now we just have to find that's going to help us rule out what is what. And where is that digit? Oh, maybe it's up here. Yes, it is. I just didn't see this. I could have sorted the 2s and the 3s a long time ago. I'm sure you've all been screaming at it for now, but this has to be a 2. And it might, well, I'll say it might not have been sorted, but it probably has been. This has to be the 2, so we're going to start just pumping out what all of this has to be. And let's see what else it gives us. Was there anything else? This cannot be a 3. 7s, 8s, 2s, and 3s. Oh, this is a 2. So this isn't. Now that 3 here is going to start opening this up. So let's get our 8s and 7s now done. These are not 8s, which means these are not 7s. And, okay, here we go. I just, oh, I'm on the wrong button. 8, 7, 8, 7, 7. These are not 7s. And we should have quite a bit of information. We can get rid of all these options now. And then hopefully we now have enough to work out what's what. Okay, here we go. This 8 is what's going to do it. So we've got the 6 here. Again, I'm on the wrong thing. And 7. We can put the 5 and the 6 here. So these are not 6s, which means this is not 5. So this is a 3-8 pair by what we've got left over in our column. This has to be 5 or 8, and it can't be 5. So there we go. This is 8 and 5. These are no longer 5. That's a 2-3 pair, which forces the 8, which forces the 3 and the 8, and that's going to break it open. That 8 gives us our 9 and our 8. That 9 then goes here. This is a given, 7? These have to be from 1 and 2, so therefore this is 1 and this is 2 because of that guy. This is 7 and 1. And what do we have? We've got a 2-3 grouping, and we're going to be able to figure that out again by our German whispers. This can't be a 3, therefore it's a 2. We get the 3, 2, and 3, and there we go. So other than missing this little obvious part because I was looking elsewhere, that came out quite beautifully. Everything really did work together quite well once you got that little bit of an in as to which one was it. I think it was this one. It was one of these couple where we got the start on our highs and lows, and then that kind of just propagated throughout the entire puzzle. So, wonderful puzzle. Really enjoyed that one. I wish I'd seen that little 2-3 combo here that had to have been done earlier, because it would have probably cut off maybe 3 or 4 minutes of the solve, but it is what it is. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed that one. I certainly did, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.